Oh, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Looseheads Sports Podcast shows in a week. Jed Gillespie, how are you, sir?
Let's go. Chew caffeine gum.
Mate, sorry. Kate always gets the shits with me if I don't promote. Brought to you by Caffeine Gum Australia, #1 sports caffeine supplement in Australia, probably at this point. And buy some and subscribe, like, share to all the social medias, YouTube in particular, so we can start getting money.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like shit today, and the really good news is that, so Kate and I lived next door. We literally lived in the unit next door. And the guy's just decided to start renovating it, and he should, because I live there, and you should probably fix up whatever I did to that place. And I feel like shit today. I've had a test already, so I'm just waiting it out, and they will not stop drilling. Oh, my God. It's just fucking doing my head in. But I'm caffeinated up to the eyeballs and ready to talk some shit. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. I got two things, immediate qualms. My parents think I'm into drugs now because of last week, and you saying I like marijuana, which I
Is that because you are into drugs, or
I'm not? I'm the furthest thing into drugs, and now they think that they've stumbled across a great secret of mine.
Mr. and Mrs. Gillespie, rule number one, which any of my close friends would tell you, is don't ever listen to anything I say.
Yeah, I tried to tell them that, and they didn't understand. So that obviously I had to quash that, which was important.
Why are you winking? Why are you winking right now?
I'm not winking. I'm putting this video. I'm making them watch the video. And the other thing is, in the most selfish move of all time, they are selling the family house.
No, downsizing.
Yeah, somewhat, and leaving me and my brother to fend for ourselves in the real world.
If that isn't the biggest hint that you could ever possibly get, I don't know what is. Well, where are they going to
go? They're going like to Roselle sort of place. I take solace. I was actually out of home for 5 years, so I take great solace in that. Whereas my loser brother has not been out of home at all. He's 3 years younger than me though, so. More importantly, fuck them. Where am I going to go?
That's exactly right. Let me put gallery view on. Geez, I'm all over the shop today. Sorry, there we go.
We're gonna take dams of potential places I can live from about March. So that'll be exciting.
Can you make sure we have a room for a studio in there?
Yeah, I mean, whichever person promotes or offers the best room for hire, I'll be there.
It's so Kate just got a full-time job up at Foster for next year. So I know. So I'm kind of in a little bit of limbo at the moment. So I'm obviously, I can work anywhere. So that's not really an issue.
What you're saying is you want to get an apartment halfway between the Shire and Eastwood.
Well, I don't know if that would be good for your health, just quietly. We could do a lot of podcasting though.
Yeah, well, it's not out of the question. I work sort of out there, so I'm put me as a strong maybe.
Let's have a think about it. I mean, you could always move to Cronulla. There'd be a spare room here potentially, which are also again terrible for your health. Anyone that spent a lot of time in Cronulla, Rob James, Sam Harris, Holloway.
Yeah, we're talking some horrible people. Truly
and people that you age terribly and rapidly as well, because. It's like the jungle.
I'm no chance of that. I can't age any harder. Like I know Tane Edmund in particular is a very dirty young man. He's going to be.
He's a bit of a degenerate from what you were saying offline. Is that accurate?
Yeah, he's one of the better men I've met. But
he was pretty slick. I enjoyed watching him yesterday. They're pretty slick, man. The session was pretty intense. Was quite impressed by it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, there's always, that's the biggest difference between shoot shield training sometimes and super training is intensity. And it's because they know there's fucking drones in the sky. There's 9 camera angles. There's everyone's watching everything. So, and every day you're competing for a spot, whether that be 7th in the pecking order to 6th, or that be 1st and 2nd. There's just no time to switch off. Whereas I feel at shoot shield at times, guys will be tired, which I fucking understand, and they'll be a little bit dopey that training. That just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
I was speaking to Paulie about it, and he said the biggest thing that he's noticed is that Super Rugby players just pick it up quicker. So if you're explaining a drill, they might get it in 2 or 3 minutes, whereas sometimes because of the wide degree of talents in shoot shield training, because of the wide degree of talents in shoot shield training, it might take longer, or they might not get it at all. And I was watching how they did the explanations for drills, and it was like that. Super quick, straight into it. They all got it right immediately. There was like obviously some corrections on the run, but very impressive. I'd find that very enjoyable as a coach.
Yeah, that would be nice. I tend to go on the faster side and I get reminded at times to slow down. And you got to be delivering to the slowest person in the room rather than where you think people should be. So that is a nice aspect. They're also sort of used to it. I mean, unless they're a brand new, fresh to any setup ever, they've been doing the same thing since similar instructions since like 16s, 18s, 20s. You know, they're sort of like you become so fucking good at just doing all your drills, even fitness. Like you turn your mind off. You know, if there's an attack drill, you just don't. That's your job. You know?
They were whacking each other, and I've gone. You know, it's 1 o'clock on a Monday afternoon. I've gone, fuck this. I wouldn't like to do this shit. But they were all into it. Like it was, as you said, it looked like the brain just goes into game mode, white line fever, boom, straight into it. I just had this thought pass through my head.
Oh, it's gonna be good.
Oh, fuck.
Get it.
It'll come back. It'll come back to me. But the other thing that I would find very enjoyable about coaching professional rugby is you've got them every day rather than 2 or 3 days a week. And I feel like you'd be able to have sessions just to cover. So just say you're going through something at shoot shield training, you've got a certain amount of content you've got to cover over a period of time. So you might not nail it and have to go on to the next thing. So, but in Super Rugby, just say you're not getting your 6-man lineouts. All right, boys, we're going to do extra 6-man lineouts at the end of. So you got them all day. I reckon it'd be really enjoyable as well.
I agree. I'd fucking love that. But on the sort of counter of that, that's why I expect them to be a certain level. You know what I mean? Like there's so much fucking time in the day. We've chatted in the week, so we've chatted in the past about how I think that they start to just want to fill time for the hell of it during certain periods.
Fucking oath.
Like they'll be like, righto, okay, we'll do another 20 minutes on like binds, or we'll do 20 minutes on footwork into lifting. Like theoretically, you could argue like, yeah, that's an extra 1%er, or they're burning time. They're filling time, you know.
Have we talked about this? My experience in Melbourne in 2018 I was there for 2 weeks during the trial period. Did we ever talk about that?
Depends which facet we've spoken about.
So I went down. For me, it was a box ticking exercise. I always wanted to play a Super Rugby game, and then I got the call, and I'm like, we need a prop to play against the Brumbies, and you can go to the Brisbane Tens as well. So why they picked me for Tens is beyond me, but I'm going to go and do this. So I went down and did it. Didn't get paid a cent. Some of it was out of my own pocket, but I was like, I think I was 30 at the time. So I was like, fuck it, I'm doing it. So I've gone down there. I'm living in a church with a bunch of these young guys sleeping on like a fucking mattress that's at an angle. It was a weird situation. And I was just observing everything. I was like, I'm going to just observe, work out what's good, work out what's bullshit. And the amount of time wasting is incredible to me. Like, Melbourne Storm and Melbourne FC, I think, all train at the same facility. So obviously the Rebels are at the back of the list in terms of the importance of the teams there. So there were days where you'd train at 6:30 in the morning.
Yep.
So you'd be there super early. Then you'd have breakfast. Then you would have nothing till after lunch. So you're going from 8:30 till 2 to get into the gym, because that was the only time that the gym was available to them. Mm-hmm. And then you might have something at 4:30. So you're just doing about 3 hours of work over a space of about 9 hours, and you couldn't go anywhere. And that was very common. The gym was way over the other side of the complex.
Yeah.
I just thought if, like, for me, I'll just want to bash it all out in 3 hours and go home.
Yeah, we were similar when I was there, and there were similar coaches. We shared the field with Carlton. We had our own gym, and like the same thing, because you're like low in the priority list. It's like you're on field for full noise at fucking 6:30 in the morning, which is like that's insane. You're so
Insanity.
Cold, and you're like, like me. I'm a bad morning person. I'm fucking half asleep. I'm still dreaming, and you're getting whacked. And then you come off. You're right. You have breakfast, protein shake, and then like your whatever is not till 2:30 in the afternoon, and you're like, fuck. And then that's where, fucking prop meeting, front row meeting, second row meeting, Tide 5 meeting, fucking meeting to determine the meeting, all sort of started coming into play. Like a stretch session, like just shit like that. They just start fucking filling the day up. But you're right, I feel like they would feel almost a little bit like we need to get our dollars worth, we need to get our bucks worth. We can't just bring them in 6:30 till 10. Like they're full-time athletes.
I understand that. Like if I was in charge of a group of young men, I wouldn't go, hey, you're only working 3 hours a day. Fuck you guys. I'd fucking make them work, because they're early 20s, a lot of them, and some of them have never worked a hard day in their life. So you'd almost want to give them a sense of that, so that they feel like that they were working hard, but fill the day with like useful shit. I think I observe, let's just fucking talk about it. Let's bury a few people today. I observed a lot of crazy shit when I was down there. I wish I had the phone. I kept writing all the notes down so that I'd go, oh, don't forget this. But there was shit like, there might have been 6 different S&Cs. 6.
Yeah, there were heaps. There's head of performance, S&C, rehab, probably assistant S&C as well. So that's 4 minimum, maybe a student, dietitian.
Couple of cadets or whatever.
Yeah.
But one day I got told different things by all of them. So I wrote that down. There was another day I had, the first time I was in Melbourne, I had a 6-day turnaround game into a 5-day turnaround game into a 4-day turnaround game. Played 80 minutes every single time at tight end prop. Don't care what anyone says. That's fucking hard. The third week before the third game, we had a lift in the gym, and they're like, and I was fucked. I could barely fucking move. And I was trying to shift some tin. I just couldn't push what I'd done the last 2 weeks. One of the S&Cs go, I totally understand, mate, you're fatigued. Another one at the end of training, I think he might have been the head S&C, goes, mate, why didn't you lift the same weights that you lifted the last 2 weeks? Like if I go and show Tony McGann that, you'll get fucking your ass handed out. I'm going, are you kidding me?
Did he have red hair?
No. Very tall, possibly European gentleman.
Yeah, okay. I know who it is. That's a weird one.
That is a weird one, isn't it? I'm going, you fucking kidding me?
I feel like that's probabably like,
he didn't want his ass to get kicked.
Yeah, I know. I think sometimes they jump at the opportunity to be involved as well. They're like, I'll get, this is my chance to sort of say something to it.
100%. Mate, we're at the Brisbane Towns. All the Rebels boys on the bus on the way back to the hotel go, all right, guys, we're not going out tonight. All the uncontracted guys looked at each other and said, fuck it, boys, we're going out tonight. So we all went out. But, it's like, what's the point? What's the balance in that? I get drinking alcohol all the time is terrible for you and terrible for performance, but you've just played at a tournament. Like, let's celebrate a little bit. Maybe say, let's go out till midnight. Have a little bit of balance there. We had to do like a sing-song thing. It's like a team bonding activity, which I fucking hated.
Yeah, I hate that.
I would ask coaches questions that I knew they didn't know the answer to, just to see what they said. I think I've told you that before, but the vast generalizations, stereotypes, just cliches that come out when people don't actually know what they're talking about is a very good example of when people don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, it's sometimes I don't know. Sometimes it's nice to just be like, yeah, I'm not sure. Don't fucking
know, but let's find out.
Yeah, come. You know what? Come. We'll figure that out after training. You know.
Thank you. There's nothing wrong with being wrong or not knowing something, but pretending like you do know something is unacceptable to me.
Look, the aforementioned guy. He didn't run a very good show down there. Like he wasn't. I didn't think he was a very rugby-minded individual. It was all fucking sort of swear words and just fucking hype. There wasn't a lot of detail to it. I just didn't like it. There was no like, you know, you look at some coaches like, fuck this. If only I could sort of see what was behind his eyes. Like Craig Bellamy came in once and like, he's a gruff motherfucker. Like he talks like he's a bit of a bogan, but he's real hard. But even then you could see like wheels turning, but there wasn't a whole lot of wheels turning down there at the time. And that's just sort of been reflected because he's sort of gone on to be a defense coach.
Yes, or not coach at all, to be fair. I think might be doing school at the moment.
Yeah,
which is fine for some people, and it's still a good wage. There's some, mate. I'm just like, should we just keep going on with this path?
Yeah, well, fuck. It was an interesting setup when I was down there. I was in a hotel. I definitely haven't said this. I was in a hotel for the first week, paying out of my parents had to pay for it. So I was making like $700 a week, and the hotel was costing $800 or something. I didn't have anywhere to live until like 3 months down there, and I slept in the change room for a fucking full weekend.
Did they know that?
Nah, they knew I'd nowhere to live though. Like I'm going.
But that's their job, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, their job is to at least assist with the transition from moving from Sydney to
Melbourne. I just kept like, and it's before you get really tight with the boys, you know, like it's before like it was probably a month, like 2 weeks in, like you're not tight with anyone. And in fairness, like most of them have got a share house where like it's pretty fucking stacked anyway. They got their girlfriend, and I'm like, fucking, I had to move out of a house for like someone was moving in, and I'm like, I can't fucking afford a hotel. So I remember going out in the city with Guy Miller. He was down at the time, and I was just like, just drop me back at the fucking place, you know? I don't know.
It's not as glamorous as people think it is, man. Like,
well, you're so broke. That's what people don't fucking get. You see, particularly when you're on like whatever they're called now, like a WTS or so it was about 45 grand. And then my fucking stupid manager's like, he wants $2 grand, 2.5 grand out of it. I'm like, mate.
Yeah.
I ate yolk. Yeah.
Sorry. Plus you got to pay your own top level health insurance, which I don't think many people are aware of in this country. So Australia is one of the only countries in world rugby, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, where one, you got to pay your agents' fees. A lot of the overseas clubs actually pay your agents' fees. And you've got to pay your own top-level health insurance. So there's a guy that we both know very well at the Rebels who was on a good wicket at the time, so he could pay for it. But his surgery cost 15 grand. So he had to pay it up front, and then the club reimburse it.
It's madness, though.
Crazy is that?
It's madness. It is crazy. You're like when you're on those deals, like you're super broke. Like, and I'm not pretending that actually a few weeks in, I was like, I actually have to sit down and figure out how to map this out, because you can't just go out and drop like whatever $500 on a night in Chapel Street, and then like by the fourth week, I was like, you're just eating yogurt from the club fridge. That's it.
When you're in that frame, or in that position and that frame of mind, what's the goal? Like, what are you aiming for?
Well, in terms of when I was training, or like
like if you're putting yourself through that for a reason. For you, What was that reason? What was your thought process? Are you holding on to go overseas? Are you hoping for an upgrade? I mean, is it chasing the dream? What is the mindset?
Yeah, it's a funny one. Like maybe it was just like ignorance, but certainly when I got there, it was to play. I was like, I could play in this team. Like I looked around, I was like, I could play. Like it's not so far fetched. And then after a while, it becomes to hold on to a contract, which is what a lot of people go through the same thing. They're like, well, I haven't fucking played.
But to hold on to a $45,000 contract?
Well, that's sort of the way it goes. So it was, and also you got to remember, like you can't play shoot shield, so no one's seen you play in 6 months, which it doesn't seem like a big deal saying it. It's a big deal.
It's a big deal
because people were getting like caught up to the Taz back home. So you're like, fuck, I need another contract here. So that's pretty much it.
I guess I'm very intrigued by it because to me, it just seems, if you look at the absolute the economics of the whole thing, it makes complete sense to me why guys are going overseas younger and younger. A minimum contract in Japan at one point, I'm not sure what it is now, but it was at least $100,000 a year, Aussie, plus accommodation, plus multiple return airfares. Something like that. You pay a lower tax bracket, they pay your agent's fees, health insurance is covered. Is that accurate? Something around that? If it's not accurate, it's
no, it is. But like Japan's, like notoriously, if you can go get yen, you go get yen. But like if you're third string at a super team, unless you've got a coach over there, like unless Chubby's my coach and he goes over there, you're not getting a fucking contract. Like you have to be Asian passport holder or a very fucking good player. Or third, you know someone. And we've seen a lot of knowing someone, particularly from the red system, people picking up contracts, going over there for like straight out of NRC for fucking years. I know a few Asian passport holders who Lebanese is part of Asia. So they're gone over there on their Lebanese. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So they've gone there on their Lebanese passport. Like, in fact, if you can go to Japan, you fucking go to Japan. But when you're in that more of that situation, if you're like third string, a super franchise, no pedigree in terms of ancestry, you got to play. You got to try and get in the game until America arrived.
Yeah, and I was, might have been you. I have so many fucking conversations that I just forget who I talk to, but it's going to be very interesting to see what happens this year once there's injuries in Super Rugby, because all the sort of high-level shoot shield fringe Super Rugby guys have started to go overseas. There's a ton of them that have gone to the Major League. There's guys who are in Holland. There's guys in Spain. There's guys in Portugal. There's guys in the UK now, and there's just more and more people being signed. I've seen a heap of Sydney Uni guys have gone now. So you got your top level Super Rugby guys, and then the gap, which in my mind wasn't enormous.
No,
I think it's become
huge.
I think it's become bigger now.
The gap between okay, like a useful example, because he was on here last week. The gap between Holloway and the best shoot shield second rower is a chasm, a fucking chasm, and the gap between like you can source a winger, like, but the gap between like the best tight head prop for the Tars, whoever that may be, and like I think Tian's a really good player. I think Harry Johnson Holmes does a good job when he's there, and Tetra. The next, I don't know who that is. I feel like I've got my finger on the pulse. Whereas, a couple of years ago, you'd be like, okay, like we'll grab Metch, or like we'll grab fucking like Richard Aho from Randwick, or like, we'll grab those guys who are all sort of fucking big and good players. It doesn't exist anymore. So that sort of, I think I was talking to the Ben Batchelor the other day, and the shoot shield's effectively an under 25s comp.
Yeah, you said that to me. You said that to me. I agree totally.
It's under 25s comp. So like you've got your Colts, which is 20s. Like if you got a player over 25, they're pretty fucking old. They're staying here because they've got a job.
Family's job. It's the community side of it.
Exactly. And that's like amazing. So like, we've got guys like Pat Seal and those guys who decided that they want to do a life. But if they want it, they could be in fucking America. Like if you're single and fucking 25, you're out of here. You're fucking out of here.
Single and 35.
I'll be out of here. Russia.
Mate, Russia's throwing some coin around for coaches, bro. Have you seen that shit? Holy fuck. Mate,
there may or may not have been a discussion with the Russian side about some coaching, and it was fucking 90,000 US for
forwards coaching.
For a 6-month season.
Yeah, and I think head coach is like 150, 190 grand or something. Be a wild. That would be a wild. We have to do that one day. That would be a wild experience.
I've spoken. We had a guy at Eastwood who did a season in Russia. I know Marty Banks. There's a notorious sort of story where he played in Russia, but effectively it's all run by the mafia. I've maintained my whole life that I was made to live in Russia. I look Russian. I'm kind of fat. And like I'd always wear thick coats and like, I don't know. I just feel like I was made for Russia. So
you love smoking and drinking vodka.
I don't smoke, but
you're into illegal activities.
No, that is you, Mum. Turn the podcast off. I do have a. Actually, no, I have two things.
Go.
Did you vote last weekend?
Yes.
Who the fuck? I went to vote I just made it for my level 2 course. Who are the people who hold the signs out the front?
I think they get paid, don't they?
Do they?
I hope they get paid. I think you can actually get paid to do all that shit. I don't know. I feel okay. You're a big fan of American politics. You're a big Donald Trump guy. But you got to admit, like, whatever you think of Donald Trump, he's entertaining. So I'm going to go to a fucking rally just to see what goes on. I'm not going to an Australian politician's rally. And I'm definitely not going to stand outside a poll booth holding signs going vote for, Jed Gillespie for the shooting and sex party.
Fuck me. They would both be on my bill, on my ticket, those two activities.
100%.
Yeah, I just don't get. Well, American politics is so far either side that they're angry at each other. But like Australian politics is so middle and central. Look, I didn't want to get into that. I was just wondering, who are those fucking people? Like I've seen the people, they try and hand you a Greens ticket, and I'm like,
This
isn't on paper, is it, brother?
Yeah, well, exactly right.
Fuck off. So yeah, and then the mayor was actually standing there as I was like entering, going, I'm the mayor, vote for me. I was sort of like, yeah, we'll see how we go in there, Chief.
Just a couple of things on that. What was the election for? I didn't even look. I just did the thing where I didn't want to get fined, just went there and ticked my name off.
It was the local government.
So ScoMo's got nothing to do with that, even though he lives 5 kilometers away from me.
Well, yeah, he kind of.
Our 10 listeners have just switched off.
Kind of.
No, well, yeah, I feel like people that hold signs at polling booths, it's a really good way of telling me that they're a loser without them actually telling me that they're a loser. You know, like, get a hobby. Fuck.
No, they all sit next to each other as well. And I was like, that's kind of interesting. Like, I wonder if they feel good or bad when someone takes that. Like, if one guy's just fucking handed 50 pamphlets out and the other guy's handed out none, whether he's
maybe it's might be commission based, so you just get like 5 cents every pamphlet.
Well, if it's commission based, this young man over here has got a new fucking side hustle, and that's putting pamphlets in the bin.
Local polling elections.
I was on the way back from my my level 2 course last weekend and just scraped in.
How did you find that?
It was, from your experiences on the level 3, it was certainly below that in terms of the coaches. Like, I think I was the only senior men's coach in the whole course.
Yeah.
So it was fairly intensive though. Like, I think the guys who were doing younger teams would have got a fair bit out of it.
So it's hard to cater for everyone, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really hard. It sort of made me think that there should be like it's seniors and juniors, only because some of the skills are not that transferable. Like what you're doing for lineouts in under 13s is fucking not transferable to a first or second grade side. So it makes it a bit difficult. Like, I've coached young kids as well, and you got to do it all different. You got to do safety first. Some of them you got to teach them how to catch. So, like, one of the elements was learning how to catch, or it was meant to be a coaching example, but some of those guys would genuinely use that drill. Yeah. Whereas I suppose if you roll into South or Eastwood, it's like, if I pass you the ball and I hit you in the face, you can just fucking get in the car because we don't have time.
Yeah.
So it was. It was certainly catered towards a lower a lower level of team. So like I would say like it was more junior but centric. Yeah.
So it's kind of the baseline. And then I feel like we've talked about this before, but with formal education, it's kind of hard to have something that's suitable for everyone. And I feel like just say you want to dive into, have a deep dive into defensive strategy or structure or whatever it is. It's probably going to be quite hard to find a course to suit your needs. But if you went and talked to, Jason Gilly at the TARS and actually did like a one-on-one chat with him and actually did some personal development on your own, or went and watched a couple of sessions or followed him around for a week or something, you'd probably get a lot more out of that.
Yeah. The irony is I'd probably pay for a seminar by someone, like I'd pay like the course you have to pay for, and it's pretty expensive. Like the one you did is far more expensive, but mine was expensive. But I'd pay that money for a good, like the right coach at a seminar. I'd pay like to watch them.
I think we're onto something just there.
But
I think other people would too.
The only like the one like really quite funny element of the weekend was they needed to tick off lineouts, and lineouts is sort of my baby. And the way they couldn't do like demos, so they just had all these international clips and they were picking them apart. But like international rugby is not Chute Shield, and it's not school, and it's on another level. So in terms of like speed, timings, there's more than one way to fake. Like you can obviously backward slip without actually catching the fake, like just for speed. And they were sort of picking apart why the ball might have not gone where they wanted it and things like that. And I was just going, yeah, he didn't sell that fake. He really needs to stop. And I'm like, no, it's different movement. So there were certain elements where I think they have to tick for World Rugby or whatever, where it was aimed for younger. It was a game for younger kids. Is my point.
Do you think you can learn different elements of the game even if you never played them?
Yeah, it's a discussion of like it's a reasonable discussion. I think
because I had this argument.
We've done this before. We've had this, and it's some sort of analogy about being on the track and being a racehorse or a race.
Oh, we have. Okay. Yeah, we won't bore. I was just talking to Holloway about it the other day. I'm like, scrum coaching for him. He's played more positions in the forwards than I have. So he's going to have a better idea how to play in the back row and the second row. I've played all three positions in the front row. So he's played 5 of the 8 positions. So you can't tell me that if you've got a little bit of an open mind and you're willing to learn, that he can't learn how to be a scrum coach. Because a lot of people go, oh, you never did that. You'll never be able to do that. It's like, well, I've been in 10,000 lineouts in my life. That might be an exaggeration, might be an under-exaggeration. I've never jumped, but I have lifted and thrown. So I've done 2 of the 3 jobs.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think like you got to sort of have been within arm's length. I think it's certainly not impossible. Put it this way: there's people coaching a lot of places where Holloway would be a better scrum coach, but there's certain like transfers and pressures and neck positions and stuff. I think it would help to have an extra prop. Having said that, on the same train of thought, I think a lot of people stumble. The game's changed so much with the rules in the last 15 years. But when you get the older guys now and they're coaching, if they're not up to date, they're so fucking aged. Like, I know when we were young, we probably had like an expert like player, or he's maybe a dad or something. He'd be a coach and he'd be introducing backline moves that the Ellas did. But like, if you played in the early 2000s, it's different. It's pretty much like rugby league to rugby union in terms of how different it is. So like,
you're a dinosaur at this point.
You're a fucking dinosaur. So if you haven't kept up in terms of watching a shitload of games, being on the inside of actually what's being said, what's being done, you're way off, man. Those guys are way off.
I'm going to be an attack coach one day.
You want to be an attack coach?
Oh, I don't really care, but I'm going to do it just because I feel like everyone go, what the fuck is that guy doing as an attack coach? I'm going, well, fuck you cunts.
Yeah, I think there's elements where you can watch enough and do enough, where you can certainly analyze that. Those. I
refuse to believe that if you understand rugby, you can't learn it. You can't learn it. Like, I'm not saying I could do it now, but I know that I'm good at learning things, so I could fucking do it.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. The other one I have was about a big friend of the show, Ben Melrose, the great Brian's son, very, very smart young man, and good footballer in his day as well. He sent me this thing this morning of the referees training. Did you see
God.
that?
No.
What was that reaction?
No, aren't they training with
J Train?
Yeah.
So they're training at J Train, and they're talking about like doing their PB Broncos and stuff like that. That seems way too hard. If I was in the reffing game, yeah, Bronco. Like, what do you need a?
You got to keep up with play.
Yeah, are they doing whistle practice as well? I'm serious.
Hey, they had who's the best ref in Australia allegedly at the world at the moment? Gus Gardner. He was doing stuff in the TARS session yesterday.
Yeah,
so I thought it was interesting. But I think that's probably better training for a ref than.
No, I just thought I'm not knocking him. I just thought, fuck, that would be I don't know.
I'd be interested to see what kind of meters they cover in the game.
Well, the ref of the umpires for the AFL used to train where we trained as well. Those guys had their 1K time, 3K time, 6K time on the board. And I was like, what the fuck is that? There's 45 of you on the field. Like, that's insane.
What's the mileage that rugby players, like just say like a halfback? What's a halfback? Can get up to like 8 or 9.
Yeah, it's like 8 or 9, I think.
So if you think about that, halfbacks generally get to quite a few rucks, or most rucks, particularly in attack. So the ref's going to be at nearly every single ruck. So that's probably a comparable figure.
Yeah, I feel like they operate in the central zone. Like, they operate probably not as wide.
Yeah.
But they're definitely fit. And having a good ref is fucking great. And if you have what I would say is a not as good one, or a bad one, is another word, it sucks. But have you seen, like, I feel bad sometimes when like refs like have their girlfriends and stuff come to the games and people are just fucking spraying them from the crowd, or their parents, or like, like family. It's just a different dynamic to come in and watch, like, come watch me play. I do some shit and then fucking get in a fight. I get yellow carded. Half of the fans are like, woo. Half of them hate me. But
they're sitting on the hill at Southern District's 4th grade hill. I'm going to go watch my husband play referee a big game.
And like the poor Southern District's hill, the cops would end up there. But yeah, it'd be a tough dynamic for them. Like, it would be hard, because like, regardless of what you do, like, sometimes I'm like, man, he was really good, and like, still, like, there's out of 10 people, 4 of them have got the shits.
I feel like that's a very hard job, being a ref. I would never do it. They get paid pretty well, and they get some good perks as well, apparently, for the professional guys. Like, they're getting $1.50 a year and get to travel the world. So that's, front row seats to some of the best rugby games in the world. Not a bad gig if you can get it, but I reckon it's a fucking punish.
Yeah, I would hate to do it. I would hate to do it.
Like, we've talked about this heaps of time, but Rassie's shitting all over. Who's a little Queensland guy? Remember Rassie just hammered him during the Lions series?
Nick.
Yeah, Nick Berry. Shit like that. You're just getting fucking smashed publicly.
It would be good though. Like, they tend to be a certain type of person. I feel, referees, like, they're a little bit like understated and like quieter. They need to just come out and start fucking throwing stones. Like, right? Like, Nick Berry should have come out. Nick Berry's a very good fucking player. He should have come out and just gone, "You're a fucking dinosaur, Rassie. I'd like to address the following. Fuck you. You're wrong here. Wrong entry. Illegal." And they just fucking banged him back. That would have been nice.
I would have enjoyed seeing, like, Nick Berry did his own YouTube thing, 55 minutes. What about the illegal thing here that I didn't pick up? What about the illegal thing there that I forgot to pick up? What about all the stuff you get away with in every single game you ever play? What about the cheating at the line-out? What about the cheating at the scrum? Just point out all the Springboks. Yeah, well, that's right. The systemic abuse. But
yeah, I thought, allegedly. I don't know. Imagine doing 4 weeks fucking intensive training to ref shoot shield. Fuck, poor blokes.
They get paid a few bucks, I think.
Do they?
Yeah.
You fucking want to.
Well, look, nothing to write home about. I think it's a couple, some beers and maybe a Rebel burger, but it's better. It's better than we get paid as coaches.
An emu burger. Yeah, well,
yes.
it's good. It's fucking gonna be better than you get paid as coaches. Tell you that
well,
for free.
I feel like this has been a really good episode. We've buried a lot of people. We've cleared up your drug habit with the family. Just quietly, if anyone really likes this and wants us to do a Jed Gillespie THC vape, we'll do it.
We can't do that. It's illegal. We can't make. How are we going to do it? Stop winking at me, John. This is if people are using the audio at the moment. Chubby's winking at me.
Everyone does listen to audio. Well, debatable, but we'll work our way around it. We've got a good lawyer in the team.
Very bad.
Are you actually a lawyer?
Yeah, I'm admitted to the New South Wales Supreme Court, number 088935. If you are,
so there's a fucking shitload of lawyers. Is that an accurate statement? There's like nearly 900. There'd be more than that now.
There's fucking billions. This is a whole nother thing. God, I rant about a lot of shit. But like when the uni stop really caring what mark you get, fucking everyone just does everything.
What possesses someone, a young person with hopes and dreams to aspire to be a lawyer?
One,
because it's a mindset I've never understood, so I'd love to understand.
I don't think anyone really knows what they're doing when they go to uni. But it's one really long degree. I want to be at uni forever because uni's great. When you're at uni, you can do nothing, and people are like, "Oh, what are you up to at the moment?" You're like, "I'm at uni," and they're like,
Van Wilder.
Fair enough. Yeah, exactly. Van Wilder. When little do they know, you got 3 hours a week. I'm going 3 hours a week. I like writing stuff, so that was probably it. And it seems hard, but it wasn't that hard. So I feel like they're all really key components to give an image that you're undertaking something extremely difficult. But you can fucking do anything with any degree now. Like all those crazy firms like Ernst & Young and stuff, they don't really care what degree you have. They assess your functionality.
Yeah. I feel like lawyers, unless you're like a partner, don't get paid that well, to be honest. Is that accurate?
I don't know, man. I don't really know what people get paid in terms of I don't know what different. I wouldn't know oh yeah, he's an accountant, first year accountant, so he must get X, But yeah, go. No, I was just going to say.
Yeah, you go. There's a downside of not doing these in person, which we need to do eventually. Is you fucking talk over each other. You go first.
If you're a first year lawyer, in terms of you're admitted, so after you finish a degree, you got to go to College of Law, and they you do all this practical shit where you learn how to introduce yourself in court and how to fill out affidavits, that sort of stuff. And after you get that number, and someone to put you on that practicing certificate, you probably start on 80.
Yeah, right. So it's not
if you're 23, it's not bad, but you're working fucking hard as well. So
I got a good analogy for you, and it's something that someone pointed out to me. So just say you want to become a carpenter, right? So you do your apprenticeship. You're getting paid the whole time you're doing your apprenticeship. So you're earning money from day one. Your boss pays your tape fees and your apprenticeship fees. You get a tool allowance. So you don't have a cent out of pocket once you've finished it, and you're getting paid the whole time. But our fourth year carpenter is getting anywhere between $50 and $100 an hour, depending on how good they are. Immediately, you don't have any HECS debt, you don't have any debt at all, and you've been earning money the whole time.
Yes,
and you work from 7 till 3, maybe 6 days a week.
Yeah, I hear you. What my counterpoint would be: most decent students will have some sort of they'll be working at a law firm way before they finish. So by third.
So you are earning money. So you are earning money as you go.
Yeah. I mean,
okay. I didn't know that.
If you're first year uni, you could still go working wherever the fuck you want. You'll just be a PA or a this or a that. So or you'll be working at a bar, But most time, by the time you're in fifth year, you're working at a firm. They start to pay. They don't pay you uni, but they'll pay College of Law, and then they'll pay your practicing certificate. So, look, most people worth their salt, or guys who end up successful. my friend Ben Melrose. He was a Macquarie Bank, way before he finished.
Right.
And so it's similar.
So how do people grow up to become chewing gum salesmen?
You got to very early on. You got to get dropped. You got to get dropped straight on your head.
You know what Roachy said to me once, and it was very insightful. Shout out to Hugh Road, big fan of the show. He goes, if you worked so hard at actually working instead of avoiding work, you'd probably be going all right.
Well, look.
It's something like that, and it's fucking true.
He truly is a modern day Gandhi.
Well, I work my ass off at trying to avoid work, and by doing that, I tend to work a lot harder.
Yeah, that's a skill in itself, though. The rat race. It's not that fun.
I went for a swim, not this morning because I had a COVID test. But yesterday I went for a swim, had a really nice day, worked till about 11 o'clock last night. And you just do that, mate. You just do that. So, that's all I got, buddy. Anything else? Any other stories? Any current events that we need to talk about? Anything happening?
I saw Hunter Paisami re-signed, which was that's probably a good signing.
Mate. Start of the year, he killed it.
Yeah,
I thought
I think he's a super rugby player. In an ideal world, I think if your depth chart's perfect, he doesn't make the Wallabies, but he's a good player.
Well, if Sami Karevi is there, he wouldn't. We talked about the 7 stuff last week. Scott Johnson's been moved on. We talked about that. Man,
I'll tell you what, Pete, they need to stop doing universally, rugby league, rugby union, AFL, fucking everything. Stop putting players in positions of power. Stop just doing jobs for the boys. The amount of rugby league clubs, and it's the same. They'll be like, it's the new CEO, and he's an ex-legend, the fucking new head of fucking accounting, ex-legend, blah, blah, blah. It's jobs for the boys. The new head of developments, this guy. Stop doing it.
Someone pointed this out to me once. I might have said it to you. I tend to repeat myself a lot, but it's if you think of a professional sporting team, you might have 30 to 40 players. Plus, you've got another 20 support staff. Plus, you're dealing with the board members, the CEO, marketing. You're dealing with everything. So, I think conservative amount of people, 60 to 70, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
So, what qualifies a great player to deal with that kind of organisation?
I think that's what they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be, particularly at the top end of the ARU. Should be run by a very successful businessman.
I think even coaching, mate. I think as a player, you're going to have a good understanding of the game, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have the ability to manage people, manage an organisation, create culture, do all the bullshit that's required.
We were speaking about a coach the other day who's been at multiple franchises, who's universally known as a fucking awful coach. Not even a good person as well, like a nice guy. Everyone likes him, but just couldn't coach his way out of a fucking paper bag. And he's on he'd be somewhere else now. Like he's on like a 3rd professional team or a 4th professional team because you're a gun player. But I think where it really hurts them is administratively. They just got to stop putting fucking like our 99 Wallabies in fucking like, for instance, when Phil Kearns made himself available to be CEO, like fucking what? No, like
he's been in the banking world for a while, so he's got some credibility to that. I think.
Yes, well, only the people involved would know whether that itself, because there are the tokenist roles like that.
Oh, 100%.
For those guys in that world anyway. Like I remember, like what rugby league player was it? Was like working at an accounting firm, like post-retirement. And I was like, when was the last time you saw him? Don't know, like 2 months ago. So but yeah, I wish they'd stop doing it. They seem to make such fucking poor decisions. Yes,
I agree totally. I feel like what they should give us the high-paying jobs, you and me. Okay,
well, mate. I'd say that like the super teams will roll over at some point, and it's fairly inevitable that one or both of us will end up as head coaches of the franchises within 18 months.
Well, just imagine if that happened. Fucking hell.
I'd say I'll be in America in 18 months if I had to have a nice guess.
I don't know if I'd want to take that job in 18 months, just quietly. You know, there's two very quick ways to ruin your career. I'm just thinking this out loud, so this could be completely wrong. Maybe there's one way. So take a job when you're not ready for it. I think that's one way. And I don't know what the other way is, but
I've got one definite way is if you keep using drug paraphernalia references on this fucking podcast, when I don't use them, and
not today anyway.
Oh, well, look, I'm gonna.
I'd like to officially state for the record, Jed Gillespie does not do drugs on this show or ever.
Yeah, and there's no winking involved. He's not winking. So that's about it. Subscribe. Send me through some shit. People send me stuff that's very interesting, and when they do, I remember to talk about it.
Yes.
But yeah, keep rocking in the free world.
I might try and get this up today. Or should I get it up tomorrow? What day is it today? Tuesday, Wednesday? I'll get it up first thing in the morning. So if you're listening, this will be Wednesday. And good show. Buried a few people, potentially ruined both of our careers. Not that either of us have any. We're going to go to Russia to coach professionally together. Jed will coach the backs. I'll coach the forwards. And Holloway can be team manager of that one. And
he'll be ready.
Any final thoughts for the people, mate? This show's going off lately, just quietly. Good viewings, good numbers.
My thoughts last week was shut up, I believe. I was telling people to shut up.
No, well said there.
Yeah, look, I don't really have any more at the moment. There's been that trend. If you see me on Hinge, swipe right. You know,
100%. We got a lot of female listeners as well. So,
yeah, coming into Christmas, we'll do a Christmas episode. But
100%.
I don't like Christmas.
I know we talked about this, but I'm going to bring it up again because I got some good feedback on it. I think we should do this every week, and it should be we'll talk shit like we always do, but have like a bit of a shoot shield theme around it.
Yeah. No, I was going to mention. We might have to cut out the bit where you're wrapping up. Eddie's shoot, like we're going to do shoot shield. We're going to do heavy getting shoot shield. But I thought while we're here, what have you heard from your perspective as coach? What are the clubs that are murmuring? What are the clubs that are doing things? What are the clubs that you've heard nothing from? What do you reckon?
Oh, as in like some insight into what's going on.
Yeah, like you've heard, like, you get into pre-seasons. I'll give you a great example. West Harbour seem to have signed 400 people.
Yeah.
Like that's, and you don't have to be a genius to figure that out. You have to have social media. Obviously, there's been movement at West Harbour, big coaching movement at West Harbour, big movement at Parramatta because they have 1 year to get 4 grades back. So there have been a lot of like signings, if you call them, announcements, that sort of thing. It's been a lot happening in the West. That would be my first one.
Yeah, I've heard a bit of going on at Manly. I've heard bits of going on at Gordon. I don't know if it's true, but so it'd be hard to comment on it. I haven't heard much about Randwick. Eastwood are just, lots and lots of little insights into those fuckers. Sydney Uni seem to have lost everyone. That'll be very. I was going to say,
Sydney University, they've got an endless production line of the same person, so they'll be fine. But really obscure signing. Like, I like to think I know people, and some of the guys who've signed it, we just no slight on them.
Coaches?
Congratulations. Are we talking about
players
coaches leaving?
Oh, you mean players overseas? Players overseas. I'm with you.
Oh, yeah. The players they're going overseas. I couldn't pick them out of a lineup. Fucking amazing. And they're going to Japan and fucking places like that.
It goes to show you that if you can create a really good rugby program, that's an immediate credibility indicator for any prospective professional organisation.
Yes, there's a lot of positives and negatives to Uni, but one of the positives is if you do peak your head into first grade at some point, you can literally end up in the Wallabies within 10 days.
12 days max. Someone did it in 9 once. That was a rare occurrence, though. All right, so yeah, we're going to do that every week, I reckon. We'll organise our lives so that we can get some people on. I'd like to talk to a few other coaches, get some of the bigger name players on. I reckon that we could really carve out our niche in that audience because the shoot shield's fucking massive and no one does a good job of covering it, I don't think.
No, it's covered by lemons.
There's a couple of non-lemons, but the vast majority are lemons.
I've never watched or read or fucking listened to a single thing, so I have no idea.
No, neither. It's not interesting to me. You got to be an interesting person if you're going to do this kind of shit. I'm not saying we're interesting in a good way. We might be interesting in a bad way, but either way, you're interesting. And
at least we're good looking.
Well, that's right, mate. That's right. So yeah, that's happening. We're going to put some other shit out. Jed Gillespie does not do drugs.
No, I don't.
Not today, anyway. And yeah, that's it, man.
That's about it. All right, beautiful. Be in touch.
Talk soon, brother. Bye.